Thank you, Claudio, and hello everyone. So first of all, I introduce myself as a research associate and a PhD student from the chair of Transportation Systems Engineering, TU Munich. My research topics include shared mobility, cargo bikes, and autonomous vehicles. So my research on AV started with my master's thesis, wherein I reviewed around 175 research works pertaining to shared autonomous vehicles and also developed a model for simulating reservation-based SAV services. So the review included journal papers, conference papers, and also technical reports from different consultancies. So the output from this review got published in the journal Transportation Research Part C, and the paper currently is in the list of most popular papers from the journal. So my research on shared mobility is related to European Horizon 2020 project Momentum. So I also collaborate with DLR, German Aerospace Agency, for analyzing the data from Europe's largest cargo bike testing project, which is Ich Enlace Data. So we already made a giant publication on estimation of travel time differences between cargo bikes and cars, which received the best research paper award from TRB Urban Freight Committee last year. So that's some info about me. So this presentation will be based on the review and the model from my master's thesis. So I will start with the explanation on why I focus on shared vehicles, and then we'll move on to SAV service typology, expected penetration rate, and then probable impacts. I will then briefly present the model that I developed for reservation-based SAV services and conclude with some takeaways. So why I focus on shared system? So autonomous vehicles are expected to be costly in the initial stages, and already several vehicle manufacturers like BMW, Ford, and Toyota are planning to introduce them as part of sharing services. Also, the number of research works on shared autonomous vehicles are growing tremendously, showing the interest of researchers towards them. Hence, my research focus was on shared system and not on private ownership. So before continuing, I would like to clarify what I mean by a shared autonomous vehicle. So by autonomous vehicle, I mean vehicles with level 5 automation, which are vehicles that possess complete automated driving capability in different environments. Within the review, I have also included studies that concentrate on level 4 automation. When such vehicles are used in shared mobility services, of course, I term them as shared autonomous vehicles. So concerning SAV typology, I group SAV services according to three factors, namely type of sharing system, then integration type, and finally booking type. Under sharing system, we have car sharing system wherein only one customer is served at a time, then ride sharing system wherein multiple customers are simultaneously served, and finally mixed system wherein the service includes both type of operations. Further, under car sharing, we have short-term rentals and point-to-point service. In case of short-term rentals, the users have control over the car for a particular time slot. That is, the user can travel anywhere in this time slot, similar to current car sharing systems. In case of point-to-point service, the SAVs move the customers between pick-up and drop-off points mentioned during the booking. Under the ride sharing system, we have OD ride sharing and ride sharing en route. So in case of the former, travelers sharing the same origin destination are matched in a common ride, while in the latter case, travelers having different origin and destination may share the ride. With regards to integration type, we have independent systems like Uber, integrated PT SAV system, wherein the SAV service is integrated with public transport, and then special cases like operation inside industrial areas and academic campuses. Within integrated PT SAV system, SAV services complement public transport for first mile and last mile, and in some cases may replace existing public transport if deemed efficient. Under booking type, we have on-demand systems and reservation-based systems. Yeah, user can book for a vehicle in real time in case of on-demand systems, while in case of reservation-based systems, advanced booking is needed. Since trip requests are known to the operator in advance in a reservation-based system, it is possible to organize the service more efficiently than an on-demand system. However, in literature, reservation-based systems are seldom explored, and this could due to be current operation mechanism. Today, many sharing system operators consider reservation booking as a dynamic request in their algorithm, mainly due to lower number of reservations. However, with substantial number of reservations, I believe this might change. So the next topic is the expected penetration rate for SAV services. I will start with the methods that are currently being used for estimating the penetration rate. As shown in the slide, three different methods are being used by researchers. Researchers from the transport field usually use static preference surveys. People from other fields use technology adoption S-curves and disruption framework. The former is based on the life cycle of technology diffusion, while the latter is a more complex technology adoption framework, which considers technologies and innovations converging together to cause a substantial disruption. So looking into the literature, none of the studies conclude a 100% penetration rate for SAVs. Interestingly, one of the studies conclude that a 100% penetration is not possible, even if the SAV services are offered for free. So based on the values in the figure, I conclude a maximum penetration value of 50% in the next 10 to 15 years. This is just an upper limit, and of course, it's impossible to give an accurate value due to the uncertainties involved. A common observation in the literature is that SAV services will mainly attract users of sustainable modes of transport, that is public transport, walking, bicycling. So when we start digging deeper, of course, a multitude of factors affect the penetration rate of SAVs. Literature shows six groups of factors, which are service-related factors, policy-related factors, trip characteristics, factors related to current travel behavior, individual attitudes, and finally, socio-demographic variables. So next topic is the probable impacts. SAVs could have impacts on multiple fields, and from the literature, I identified a plethora of impacts. I tried to group them and came up with these 7 categories shown in this slide, which are starting from the right: travel behavior, traffic and safety, transport supply, land use, economy, environment, and governance. Under each of these categories, we have a number of impact variables. I have included details for each one of them in the review paper, but for now, I will just present a summary on the impacts related to travel behavior, traffic and safety, transport supply, and environment. So within travel behavior, I will just discuss on vehicle miles traveled and vehicle replacement, which are more commonly studied variables. Starting with VMT, an increase is generally expected mainly due to empty trips. Having said that, literature also shows a decrease in VMT in case of a ride-sharing system. But this is not true in every case. I will give more details in the next slide. Concerning vehicle replacement, which represents the number of conventional vehicles that one SAV can replace, a range of values from 1.17 to 11 is seen. Thus, SAV services seems to have the potential to reduce the number of vehicles on road. So digging deeper into the VMT and vehicle replacement values, a plot between them shows that VMT value decreases at lower vehicle replacement rates and increases at higher rates for ride sharing systems, which is represented by the red line in the figure. The reason being, on the one hand, there is a decrease in number of trips done due to sharing, resulting in a reduction in VMT. While on the other hand, higher replacement rates, meaning serving the same demand with much more lesser vehicles, increase the number of empty trips, resulting in greater VMT. For car sharing systems, a moderate increase in VMT is observed, irrespective of vehicle replacement rate. All these show that higher vehicle replacement rates are possible with smaller increase in VMT. Concerning congestion and travel times, car sharing system seems to increase congestion issues, while ride sharing systems seem to reduce congestion when there is substantial demand for them. However, this cannot be generalized since many factors like vehicle occupancy, network topology, and algorithms used to affect the outcome. Further, due to the higher possibility of sharing in inner cities, because of higher demand density, traffic could be reduced in inner city, while in the outer areas it might increase. With regards to traffic safety, it is expected that accidents would reduce since several accident causing factors like alcohol consumption, distraction, drug consumption, and fatigue will not be relevant. Further experience from airline industry also supports the idea that automation can have positive results. However, there would still be safety issues because of machine errors, problems pertaining to human-machine interaction in mixed traffic conditions, and security issues like GNSS spoofing. So here I will just talk about road capacity. So an increase is generally expected mainly due to the assumption of reduced headways between the vehicles. Presence of connectivity between the vehicles further improves this positive effect. Having said this, something that's controversial is the present day ACC systems. These systems appear to be conservative, maintaining larger gaps. However, I believe that future AV systems would be better. Current ACC systems are actually designed with a focus on enhancing driver comfort and passenger safety. This focus may change in advanced AV systems in future, wherein there might be a focus also on improving traffic flows. But another related issue here is the experience of ride comfort by car drivers and car passengers. Pertinent literature shows that the experience is different. A better ride comfort for car passengers for carrying out some activities in SAVs may require a smoother acceleration and deceleration profile, and this might affect the road capacity improvements. So a reduction in energy consumption and emissions are concluded in many studies, mainly attributable to the assumed usage of efficient electric vehicles. Of course, source of power generation affects this conclusion, and there is a need to shift from fossil fuels to renewable energy. Some other factors that might affect energy consumption and emissions include demand for ride-sharing systems, integration with public transport, and scheduling of vehicle charging for electric vehicles. Drawing significant instantaneous power from the grid at unfavorable times with high greenhouse gas emissions or the carbon intensive periods needs to be avoided, and demand charging is suggested for the same. So as I said earlier, we developed a model for simulating reservation-based SAV services. On one hand, we have a set of road users who include both conventional private car users and SAV users. They select their departure time for their trip and also the travel path. On the other hand, we have an SAV operator who assigns vehicles for the SAV users. What the operator wants is the number of SAV users departing through each available path at each time instant and the travel times in the paths. In terms of traffic modeling, this information is equivalent to a departure rate matrix and travel time matrix. With this information, the operator can construct a trip request matrix and then decide on the number of vehicles to be utilized and then the sequence of trips to be served. The sequence of the trips served by one vehicle, one SAV, is considered as a vector. We call it as a SAV chain. So multiple SAV chains utilized corresponds to a matrix. So both the road users and the SAV operator make their decisions simultaneously and are considered to be selfish agents, meaning they try to reduce their own cost. Concerning the interaction between the road users and the SAV operator, SAV chains formed by the operator can affect the traffic levels in the network, mainly because of empty trips, and this might affect the road users' decision regarding departure time and travel path. Similarly, if the road users change their departure time and the travel path, the operator might be required to change the SAV chain matrix because of the change in trip time and also the travel times in the network. Both road users and SAV operator would continue to change their decision because of their selfish nature until a stable state is reached, wherein both the road users and the SAV operator cannot further reduce their cost. Such a stable state in Nash is called a Nash equilibrium in game theory, and this is the basis of our model. So as I said earlier, what the operator wants is the departure rate matrix and the travel time matrix. And considering the selfish nature of the road users, these matrices can be constructed using a DUE model. We consider the output from the DUE model as the decision of one player representing the group of road users. Something to remember here is the dynamic user equilibrium model by itself could be formulated based on Nash equilibrium. What I am doing here is one level above it. So the group of road users together considered as the player one, and their decision is the output from the DUE model. Since a DUE model will be used, the selfish nature of the individual road users are already taken into account. So basically, individual road users minimize their cost against each other through the DUE model, and the individuals together as a group minimize the cost against the SAV operator through our model, which I call it as DUE SCF model. So DUE refers to the DUE algorithm, and SCF refers to the SAV chain formation. As I said earlier, what the SAV operator does is forming multiple, the name SAV chain formation. SAV operator, who is considered as player 2, can efficiently form SAV chains using an optimization model, and the objective function of this optimization model is to minimize the total cost of SAV operation. So in a Nash equilibrium game, no player knows the other player's strategy in advance. Hence, in terms of solution approach, it is not possible to solve the problem in one step. The user equilibrium traffic conditions can vary significantly depending upon the SAV chains formed. The SAV chains formed cannot be validated until the traffic stabilizes at user equilibrium condition. Therefore, we proposed a heuristic algorithm based on an iterative optimization and assignment procedure, which basically refers to solving the DUE and the SCF problem sequentially until convergence is reached. In game theory, such a solution approach is called best response dynamics, which is usually utilized in game theory to find Nash equilibrium for congestion games. For testing the proposed solution, we adapted an existing DUE model and an SCF model from the literature. So we made some modifications in both models. For example, introduction of virtual pods for SAVs and inclusion of OD-based ride sharing in the SCF model. Due to the time limit, I'm not discussing more about them. I proposed for convergence, I proposed a criteria based on variables from both the DUE model and the SCF model. So path flow gap is the change in path flows between two consecutive bi-level model iterations, and the cost gap is the change in total system cost of the SAV operation between two consecutive bi-level model iterations. So for the bi-level model to be considered as converged, both the path flow gap and the cost gap should converge to a very small value, ideally 0. So we tested the algorithm with a toy network and then a modified brace network. Again, however, due to time limit, I'm not presenting them here. So we also carried out an impact analysis using Sioux-Falls networks, and the same is shown here. So 6 different scenarios were tested by varying the penetration rate and the type of sharing system. It was found that a reservation-based ride-sharing SAV system has lower total system travel time, traffic congestion level, total vehicle miles traveled, and then vehicle requirements compared to the base scenario, as well as other scenarios with car sharing and mixed SAV system. Further, the benefits obtained increase as vehicle occupancy increases in the case of ride sharing SAV system. Scenarios with car sharing SAV system and mixed SAV system show lower performance compared to the base scenario in terms of total system travel time and traffic congestion level, though perform well in terms of vehicle requirements. All these show that a reservation-based ride-sharing SAV system is better among the three and can lead to a better future. Implementation of car-sharing SAV system or a mixed SAV system may lead to a less sustainable future. So the takeaways, there will be continued ownership of private vehicles, and at max, 50% demand can be expected for SAV services in the next couple of decades. There is a need to integrate SAVs with public transport to avoid unsustainable mode shifts and also to reinforce the public transport quality. The results pertaining to the impacts also suggest integration and further points towards the higher efficiency of ride-sharing systems. When a reservation-based system is considered, again, a ride-sharing system seems to be better. So many of the results are based on several assumptions, and also estimation of penetration rate is not perfect. So the reality in future could be different. Although there is an opportunity for a better integrated system, people might not use it. And in order to attract people, social nudges could be beneficial. So what I presented is just some portions of the research work. The review paper has a lot more contents. To name a few details on modeling components, adaptive policy systems, and policy like harmonization management system, and the list of social biases, and also effect on the mode choice. Okay, that's it from my side today.